Nistutir namaskara ityadi smritibhyascha. When these smriti says no action, even for vyavahara, is not necessary. You need not praise anybody. If somebody comes, oh no, please come, please come. No, not necessary to tell even that. Not necessary also that. Nistutir nirnamaskara ityadi smritibhyascha. They said to reduce all this vyavahara, I put in the board there. No one to consider any pranama, no puja, nothing, not necessary. Because this becomes a very big problem later on. If somebody does, he will feel himself that, oh, you see, I am doing pranama. Swami is happy with me. If somebody does not do, then that fellow will tell you, we are not doing so. There may quarrel among the students also I have seen. You have to do like this, you should not do like this, you should do like that, you should not do like that. But I don't care any of this. From the beginning, any student does Namonarana or not, I never thought at all. But the other students only create problem to the rest of the students. Those who are doing, they don't like the people who are not doing. And they start to abuse it. You should do. That's wrong. It depends upon everybody's shraddha and status of mind. You can't expect everybody to be of the same quality as you are. All are not of your level only. They have got their own sadhana. They have done their own sadhana in the past births. And who knows what all they have done and to what extent they have already proceeded further in this path. Maybe they are far away from you, back or forward. We can't say who is where. So we cannot impose equally all rules and regulations to all the time. Therefore, I have given freedom from the beginning. I have given freedom to all the students. Karo na karo, it's up to you. If you feel you have to do, by that you feel your heart is getting purified or whatever it is, then you do. Otherwise, not necessary. For showing off that you have got faith or shraddha, please don't do it all. I don't want such dhongi people. Doing daily sahtanga pranama and from the back they put one churi. Knife. In Kailasa Ashram there was one kothari. I was daily going to Mahamangaleshwar, putting Tripundra early in the morning, beautiful flowers. He gives the Mahamangaleshwar, the Sahtang Pranama, and it took 5 lakh rupees and went down. So what is the use of the Shraddha and Pranama? Is there 5 lakh rupees value of their Shraddha? So what is the use of doing so? After seeing that, because of God's grace, I have seen such instances happening all around me. Therefore, from the beginning, I am keeping away from all these things. Never caring for all this. Who does what and what not. But when I saw here also people are forcing each other, do this, do like that. Therefore, I said, come on, put a paste notice there. And nobody need to anything. Nirnamaskara, nistutihi, ityasmritibhyascha.
But some sadhus, Swamiji, they want you to do namaskar. They say, oh, you could have ahankara in teaching, so they have to do namaskar.
Okay, you do then for them. Who is wishing so? Let us fulfill his ahankara also. Why we not bow down? Because his ahankara is telling he needs namaskara. Okay, let me go bow down. What is wrong in it? We don't have ahankara. It should not create a problem for us. I have done pranam to being a sannyasi to Pandit also in Banaras. Why not? I am taking knowledge from him. From me, he is a part of Saraswati. That's all. Where is the grahasthasrama vichasrama? I don't mind it at all. I never saw that I am a sannyasi and I should not do anything like that. And everywhere, wherever I went, they were all over happy with me. Any teacher. First they gave to test class of 15 minutes, 20 minutes time. They 2 hours they gave later on. If they are not pleased by my way of doing vyavahara with them, how can they increase the time and give so much time and so much importance? Impossible. So we have to see this. What is the person's ahankara also? It does not matter. Let us please him in that way. That is his puja. Not only pleasing, that is the worship actually. Because we are getting anyway knowledge from him. If by whatever such a vyavahara, such things are pleasing him, it's good. Let us do it as we are pleasing Saraswati itself, not a person. That should be our attitude. And we should bow down. It does not matter. Let us kill our ego. We have come to kill our ego anyway. And he is giving an opportunity that we have to thank him. Otherwise we may become more ahankari also. not doing anybody to namaskar to anybody. He's forcingly to ask him to do the namaskara. He's given opportunity to bow down, to cut down your ego. It's well and good. That positive thinking should be there. I don't blame any acharya if he says you should do pranam, should like this, like that. Okay, that's the state. When that is necessary for certain students. Because certain students are very much adamant and arrogant. For such people, discipline should be forced. Enforced discipline is necessary. Until and unless the students or the brahmacharis or the mahatmas are not self-disciplined. Once they have entered into self-discipline category, then external discipline is not necessary at all. Nobody needs to say. They will do according to Shastra. They will follow the Shastra. They will understand. Tasmat Shastra Pramanam te Karya Kari Vyavasthito. They know with whom what Vyavahara I have to do. They will do it. By that they will gain. So, in the beginning, the people have come from college and all. They don't know at all what is sadhu, what is the way of adhyatma and how to sit and how to speak and all. They don't know anything. For such freshers, the newcomers, enforced discipline is very much necessary. In that purview, if you say in some ashrama or in some courses and all, such enforcements are there, such disciplines have been imposed, it's right. You're not wrong. But this is being spoken of such a person is the top, the last stage. For them is a nistutir nirnamaskaritya smriti. Tasmat karmana kurvanti yataya paradarshinaha. This is another Shruti, another Vedic text which says, monks who have seen that. Tasmat paradarshinaha yatayaha. Monks who have seen that. That means what? That Shuddha Brahman. Experience that Brahman, which is beyond this world. Para means which is beyond this world. Do not undertake any rites. Na kurvanti karma. They never do any rituals, sacrifices, Vedic or non-Vedic. Tasmadalingo dharmajyo avyaktalinga ityad smritibhyascha. And there are smritis also. A person who has realized himself as Brahman, he is alinga, he has no external signs, no insignias for recognition purpose, which before it was told, Dandi has got Danda, Yajñapavita, Choti and all that, tufts and everything. And this one has no such signs or insignias for recognition. Still, even though he is a dharmagya, the knower of reality. He is a knower of reality. Knowing also, he is not applying himself all those dharmas which will create bondage. He knows everything. Therefore, he is not doing that. Avyaktalinga. Therefore, that person is avyaktalinga. He will not be able, it is not possible to recognize him by his external activities. How he is, what he is doing, what he is speaking, what he is moving, his external activities, his way of life. By that, nobody can recognize that this one is a Brahmagyan or not a Brahmagyan. Nobody can say that. In such a way, a Brahmagyani, Paramahamsa sannyasi lives. Avyaktalinga. Lingas, the signs of recognition are not vyakta. It is not clear to anybody. He can be in any way. There is one very good scholar after this Shivananda ashram. Some small huts were there. One fellow sitting in that hut. Always, just like he was looking like a beggar, worst beggar. All clothes are torn, putting 3-4 clothes one under the other, all dirty. And suddenly what happened is, it came to his mind. He started speaking Sanskrit with them. He said, hey, we thought he's a beggar and he's speaking Sanskrit so nice. Then after a few minutes of discussion, we sat with him. He gave us tea also and all, offered everything. And then we saw he's a great scholar. He knows everything, Vedanta and everything, all Shastra. And he's living that way. Unmattavat, Jadavad, Unmattavat, Ajagaravat. That's what it is told. And I saw him about for 5 years he was there, and whenever I would come to Rishikesh, after leaving Rishikesh also, I was meeting him. Whenever I come, I would go and meet him. And he would ask me what I was studying, and when I answer, it's very happy. God, padho. I said, padho. उन्हें क्या आपको आशीर्वाद? अरे हमारा क्या आशीर्वाद? तुम ब्रह्म है. ऐसा होता था. So the way, you can understand then only. Otherwise, from external view, you see, we thought he was a beggar. And we are offering something. When we offered, he started to speak in Sanskrit. He took that offering also. At the same time, he spoke in Sanskrit. He felt that these boys are studying and it seems good boys. Therefore, he started to speak with us in that way. And after 5-6 years, once I came back to in the Haridwar and tried to find him out, he was nowhere. No, I don't know where he went. Nobody knows. So that is called the Avyakt Linga. The sign of recognition of a scholar or a sannyasi or jnani or anything. There is no sign at all. You can't say how do they live. So these are the qualities that may be expressed for a true monk. So now, once you are seeing these statements, it's very clear that the monk is nowhere attached with any type of rites at all. You cannot associate karma, the actions, the rites, and jnana both together. So this is how the Swayuthya, it's called Teja Dharmam Dharmancha Ityadi Grihitum Adipadam. Ityadi Smritibhyascha, isn't it? Below that, the Tika is told Teja Dharmam Cha Adharmam Cha Ityadi Grihitum Adisha. So now for the other philosophers are being brought, who are also discussing about karma tyaga, they also are accepting. It's not like our own people, Vratikara. He says no karma tyaga. Along with karma, we have to have the rights to do, have the practice of jnana. That will give moksha. It was refuted totally by Acharya Shankara and stated there is no relationship between rights and knowledge. Up to now, the discussion was going on with our own people. The main Vedanti was replying to the people of our own Vedantis. Ekadeshi, Vrittikara, was speaking about jnana karma samuchaya. Karma is not in opposition to jnana. Jnana associated with karma can give moksha. This was the Purvapaksha, which was none other than one of the Vedantis itself, the Vrittikara. And therefore, that has been replied now very well and it's decided there is no relation between karma and jnana. Jnana alone can give moksha. And vithana, the sannyasa, is also a sadhan for jnana. Just with sannyasa also, you can't attain immortality, liberation directly. This is also mentioned. Now, he is going to take the different philosophies, other philosophers who speak in different ways. How about the attainment of liberation by different types of means. Number 1, yat tu sankya karmatyaga apigambhyate. The first asks for the Sankhya people to begin with. They admit the giving up of all actions leads to liberation. Now, accepting the Vedanti, the right one, the Shankaracharya's philosophy, that karma tyaga is sannyasa. He is also saying, Sankhya Darshan also says, Sankhya, not only Sankhya, many other Tarkikas. They all say karma tyaga apigambhyate. They also admit karma tyaga, the renunciation of all types of Vedic rites, is necessary for moksha. Even they too say. But it's impossible for them. Why? On one hand, they are saying we have to renunciate everything. On the other hand, what are they saying? Kriya karfara buddhehe satyatva abhigamat. They are accepting this as absolute truth. Even this world has got absolute truth in it. It is not illusory. It is not maya. It is not mithya. Kriya karfala bhed buddhehe satyatva abhigamat tanrisha. What they are admitting? Renunciation of karma. How can they do? How can they renunciate? When you are accepting karma as satya. And the phala is also satya. When you are getting the satya phala, the true results you are attaining, who is going to give it up? But once we come to know that the phala that you are attaining is unreal, temporal, then only you can give it up. Unless you have to use absolute result itself, then who is going to give such a karma? Which is going to give us absolute results? Therefore it says, on one hand you are telling that karma tyaga is essential, on the other hand you are speaking that the kriya karaka phalaveda buddhehe satyatva abhigama, because they accept the idea of duality of actions, kriya, karaka means accessories, results, all this bheda buddhi, the idea of duality is satyatva abhigama, are true. Such a position will be a tantamount only. It cannot lead you to absolute truth. When you speak two opposite things is true. You want to give up karma and you are trying to that is truthful also. If it is truth, then how you can give it up? Can it be give the truth? A thing which is false or temporal can be given up. A thing which is permanent and absolute cannot be given up. So you are telling the karma, the actions, the accessories, and the result of that actions are all things are absolute truth. Then how anybody can give it up? So your statement is totally contradictory. Therefore, Tanrisha, this is totally wrong. So acceptance of the existence now comes Bauddha. Yacha Bauddhaihi. Shunyata Abhigamat. Non-existence. The Bauddhas accept non-existence, and attaining that non-existence is itself liberation. Akartrutvam abhigamyate. They also accept the non-agentship. Because nothing exists. Therefore, I am also not existing. Therefore, I am also not an agent then. There is no kartrutvam at all. Kartrutvam is agentship. That is not there. Therefore, there is no karma. Once you are realized that I am not a karta, then automatically you give up karma. That leads you to liberation, the non-existence form of oneself. Bhashakara says, tadapi asat. Even that is not right. Why? Tad apigantu sattvavigamat. You see, he says, a person who is accepting this doctrine is there or not? Does it exist or not? A person who is accepting the doctrine exists or not? If everything is non-existent, how can that acceptor be existent? Is not that acceptor within this all? The sarvam shunyam, everything is non-existent, you are telling. When everything is non-existent, in the sense the person who is accepting this doctrine is also within everything, then he is also non-existent. Then who is accepting the doctrine? There is nothing that exists that can accept this doctrine itself. And okay, if you say something is there, which is existent, which has this doctrine, then I will ask, is this doctrine also non-existent or not? Is this doctrine actually absolute truth? क्या आपका सिद्धांत सत्य है? वो भी शून्य है. Is your doctrine absolute truth, or is your doctrine also non-existent? Because then everything is non-existent. Your doctrine is also non-existent, the agentship is also non-existent, the acceptor is also non-existent. And who is going to attain moksha? Whoever you say is going to attain the moksha, is he existent or not? If they put the question, then you will say that he is also not existent. So such a doctrine is totally utter foolishness and nothing else. Tadapi abhigantu sattvavigamat. Those people also actually accept the existence of the person who is accepting this doctrine.
Moksha is also non-existent then for them.
Yes.
For them.
For them it is not existent. Who is going to attain nirvana?
So
When that is shunyam. So sarvam shunyam. The first, the madhyamikas. Then comes sarvam swalakshanam. Everything exists in its own form. Sarvam swalakshanam. Then he says sarvam kshanikam. It is existing, but it is kshanika. It is not absolute truth. Then in the last they say sarvam vijnanam. Same. No. Because that vijnana is kshanikam. It is a flow. It is going to flow. How can that be Vedanta? For that, Vasubandhu came again as avatar of Buddha is accepted. Vasubandhu, the Navi Buddhas. He wrote books called Vigyapti Matrata Siddhi and all. He brought close. What to say close? Actually Vedanta he told. But the words and names that is given different. We say it is Shuddha Brahman, Hiranyagarbha, then Ishvara, Virat. Is that? Here also we say Turiya, Pragya, Taijasa, Vishwa. 4 divisions in Veshti and Samashti. Similarly, he made 4 divisions. You have Pariklinna, Pariklista, he gave different names to it. And he changed the meaning of Kshanika itself totally. He made a Karika there. He said, what is Kshanika means? It's not 1 second. Within that exists only 1 second. It's not related to Kala at all, he says. Kshana is not a Kala. The one that is begun and is going to destroy. That whole period is called as 1 Kshana of that Vastu. So if you are living 100 years, at 100 years, according to the human life, whatever it is you are counting, the age, that is equal to account to both thus 1 Kshana of your Jiva. This is what he gave in this way. He changed the Lakshana of Kshanikattam itself. So there's a tricky way he has gone, but there are many loopholes even in there. That also people have found out and refuted all his Siddhanta. Anyway, Bauddha Shunyata Bhagamat, Akartuta Bhagamate, they accept that everything is non-existent, therefore there is no question of any agentship also. Tadapyasat, even that is totally wrong. Because tad apigantuhu satyagamat, the person is accepting that doctrine is existing. This is what you are accepting. Such a person will be tantamount due to their acceptance of the existence of the person, making the assertion that everything is not existent. A person who is asserting and stating that everything is not existent, that person is existing. This you have to accept. You have to ask Buddha Bhagavan was there. You cannot say Buddha Bhagavan was non-existent. So therefore that doctrine is also not right. Or in the last comes the laziest people of the world who don't want Vedanta. Lazy people. Alasi, khao, piyo, mauj masti karo. Such people will say, खाना पीना मौज मस्ती करना ही मोक्ष है. ऋणं कृता घृतं पीवे चार्वाक. That says, यच्चाज्ञि अलसतया अकर्तृत्व अभिगमः सोपि असत्. जैसे कोई कर्ता भोक्ता कुछ नहीं है. भस्मीकृतस्य देहस्य पुनरागमनं कुतः. There is no question of karta bhokta at all. Only his body is existed, it will die, it will burn and ashes when there is nothing else. Even they are also speaking of akartrutvam. They are also speaking of non-agentship. There is no karma and no karma karta. Eat and enjoy. Why they are saying so? Because reason is being given by Bhashkara, Ajnaihi, the totally ignorant people. Number 1. Number 2, Alasataya. They are the most laziest people. Out of laziness, they don't want to do anything. Therefore, they say, I am akarta, bhokta. They speak of Vedanta then. Everything is Brahman. They say immediately. According to the need, they use the Shastras. And immediately change also. Self-contradictory statements you can listen from them, such people. There actually it is all due to the recourse to inactivity is because of the laziness, lethargy, or indolence. Because of that, they are telling that I am a non-agent and a non-enjoyer of any actions, that I need not do any actions, no Shastra is needed for me, I am above all Shastras. So, Pyasat Bhashakar says, they are also wrong. Why? Karak buddhir anivartitva pramanena. Because Karak buddhir anivartitva, the idea of agentship is not destroyed or eliminated by valid means of knowledge, by authoritative correct knowledge. Pramanena anivartitatva. Because they have got karak buddhi, If you ask yourself, okay, you say eat and enjoy, I accept that, how you are going to eat? How you will eat and enjoy? Then you have to say, I will eat by my hands. From where it comes your hands? Who is the eater then? I am eating. Kartrutam came there then again. Therefore, a person speaking, so if you inquire deeply, he will have to answer in such a way that there is kartrutva. It comes automatically. Because he's using this carcass, all the accessories he's using for eating and enjoying. Once you use who is the user of this accessory? Who is arranging all this, organizing all these accessories and for his eating and enjoyment? Then comes the kartru automatically. That means the kartrutva which was negating before is indirectly accepted because of the usage of all the accessories. And he is using those accessories for his eating and enjoying because he has not refuted the satyatvam, the truthfulness that is accepting the duality. The duality's truthfulness can be negated only by the valid knowledge that is originated from the Upanishads. Tantu Aupanishan Purusham Veda. Sadekameva Dvitiyam. Without the knowledge that is arisen or originated from such Vedic texts, which are called as pramanena in this sentence. We don't take pratyaksha pramana or anumana pramana and all those pramanas. The pramana is, the valid means of knowledge here is Upanishads. Through the Upanishadic knowledge, the person has not negated or not eliminated or not removed the agentship within himself. Because he has got the karaka buddhi. And the karaka buddhi is there, automatically the agent buddhi will come up. Kartrutva buddhi will come up. Tasmat, now he brings back, after speaking of Charvak, Bauddha, Sankhya and Vrittikara. There's the main four people, all have come together now. Their doctrines have been refuted and stated they are totally wrong, it's impossible. Tasmat, therefore, now he is concluding, Vedanta Pramana Janitaikatva Pratyavata Eva Karma Nivritti Lakshanam Parivrajyam Brahma Sanstatvancha Iti Siddham. So, to conclude, he says, Vedanta Pramana Janitekatva Pratyavata. Ekatva Pratyavata. A person possessing of the realization of unity. Ekatva means unity. Pratyaya, knowledge, realization. Vata, that person who is possessing of such a knowledge. And how does this knowledge originate in him? Vedanta Pramana Janita. Originating from the Upanishads. A person is possessing the realization of unity which was originated by the Vedantic texts. Such a person, karma nivritti lakshanam. For such a person, he is characterized by what? Lakshanam is characterized by ceasing of rights and duties. Karma nivritti, ceasing of the karmas, rights and duties. And also, he is characterized by the parivrajyam, monasticism. He is the only person fit for monasticism. And that person is stated in this mantra as Brahma Sanstha iti Siddham. Etena grastasya ekatva vijnanasati parivrajyam arthasati. Therefore, if you want to state firmly, if it's a position, it's a stand that you say a grahastha has also got the Brahmajnana, Ekatva Jnana, then automatically, without any saying anything, that fellow will get into sannyas. He can't stay there anymore. Once a person loses or eliminates the knowledge or conviction of duality and has realized the knowledge of unity, can never stand back in grahastha. Therefore, Bhashakara says, grahastha se ekatva vijnane sati. If a grahastha has attained the ekatva vijnana, then parivrajyam artha siddham. By this, it is implied, you have to imply this. By this, it is implied that if an householder has attained or the realization of unity, he has surely, what will happen to him? As a matter of course, he will automatically switch his stage of life to the monastic. Artha siddham parivrajyam. He has to resort to monasticism as a matter of course. Nobody will enforce him, or neither the Vedas have to tell him, you have to take sannyas now. but it will happen automatically. But now the Purupakshi says, Maharaj, if he grasti gives up and goes into sannyasa, he has to give the Agni, which he had got for the karma, for the rites. If he gives up Agni, the Shruti Smriti says he will go to Naraka again. How he can give up Agni, the fire? He cannot give up the fire which he has attained when he has a householder and get into sannyasa immediately, just because he has got a knowledge of non-duality. Nanu Agni Utsadan Dosha Bhaksyat Parivrajana. The Shruti is there, Smriti is there. Virahava Esha Devanam Yo Agnim Mudvasayate. Iti Shruti. That Grasta, if he takes up monasticism, surely he will be incurring guilt of abandoning the fire. Utsadana dosha. Utsadana means abandoning the fire. Dosha bhak. He will incur guilt. His sins will afflict him. Because the Shruti, another Vedic text, is telling this. Viraha. He is a killer of progeny of gods. Esha. This householder who is taking up sannyas in middle itself is who? Devanam Viraha. Devana means the gods. Viraha. Vira means here the progeny. The killer of progeny. क्योंकि देवता भूखे मर जाएंगे, देवता मर गए, उनकी संतान मर गया, सब मर जाएंगे. All will die off. You are indirectly killing the gods itself by giving up the fire. Therefore it says, Virahava Esha Devanam, you Agni Mudvasyate. Because they are depending upon you for their food and livelihood. And if their livelihood you don't want to give through the fire, if you are giving up the fire itself, then how you can give them their livelihood? How are you going to offer them the oblations? Being a householder, in the middle of the householdership itself, if he gives up the fire, that means he is almost killing the progeny of the gods, the deities. This is what the Shruti is. And such a, not Brahma Hatyara, Deva Santana Hatyara. He is. Mahapapi, Paramapapi. He will have to go to Naraka then, to hell. Iti Shruti. Therefore the Purpaksha is the opposition, the oppositor is saying, no, it's impossible to become a householder, to give up the fire and get into monasticism. Iti Chet, no. Siddhanti, Vedanti Acha Shankara says, no. Daivot Sadhitatva. It is, he has given up not knowingly. Daiva Utsajitatvat. Giving up is caused by providence itself. It has happened automatically. Due to the knowledge, he is being forced. Because for oblations, maintaining the fire, truthness in duality is necessary. And once you are established in non-duality, how you can maintain the fire and give the oblations and all those things? It cannot happen. Therefore, Daiva Vashat. We also said Daiva Vashat. It is a matter of providence. Daivotsayitatvat. Giving up is caused by providence itself. Utsanna eva hesa ekad darshane jate. Therefore, fire becomes automatically abandoned as soon as the person attains the knowledge of unity. It gets abandoned automatically. This has been told in the Upanishad, this is Chandogya only. Agner Agnitvam Apagat. Because in Trivrit Karana what he said? How this fire has come into existence. If you get into that basal form, it is what? Sattvarajaya Tama. And if you get to what is this fire then again? It is made out of three major elements. The Annam, the Prithvi, Jalam and fire. Wow. Earth, fire, water and fire. When these three mix together, it's Trivrit Karana in Upanishad. By that you imply the Panchikarana. Is it not? So, once you disintegrate it, then what is there? Will fire be there? It is due to the integration of the five elements that we are seeing this fire. And once you are established in Brahman, means what? You are disintegrating the whole world. You are getting to the cause of it. You are getting the unity. This duality is integration and unity is disintegration. So once you are disintegrating the fire will not exist at all. So once you are becoming Brahman means you are disintegrating the whole world. There is no fire at all. Automatically the fire gets abandoned once you get into the knowledge of unity. That's why it says, Utsanna eva hi sa. The fire gets automatically abandoned as and when a person sa ekadadarshani jate. As soon as a person attains the knowledge of unity, the realization of unity, the fire becomes abandoned automatically. For this the pramana is, you see, apagad agner agnitvam iti shrutehe. Same Upanishad, Chandogya 641. In 641 of Chandogya, this comes here stated as apagad agner agnitvam iti shrutehe. Agnehe agnitvam. The firehood of fire vanishes automatically once you get into the state of unity. So it is abandoned automatically. You need not abandon. Therefore, a householder need not actually abandon the fire. The fire becomes abandoned automatically as soon as a householder establishes himself in the knowledge of unity. Ato na doshavaghrastha paribrajan. Therefore, a householder, just because accepting monasticism, changing the stage of life and getting into monasticism, for him there is no question of affliction of any sins. He is not going to incur guilt because of abandoning the fire. Yat sanstho amritatameti tan nirupanaartam aha. Yat sanstho amritamevi. Being established in which one attains immortality, that thing is going to be. To ascertain that thing, now the Vedas are stating certain things. To praise, you have to praise first that thing in which you are going to establish. The means by which you are going to establish. Because we are going to establish in Brahman to attain immortality. By which means you are going to attain that? Establish yourself in Brahman by Om. Therefore, Om has to be praised. But until now, the Om that has been discussed was a part and parcel of the rites. Independently, Om has not been discussed for moksha purpose. It gave the highest of the high fruit also. Successively, the highest. That's Hiranyagarbha and all that. But Om as a means for immortality has not been discussed and has not been praised also. Therefore, now we have to etadalamanam shreshtam. It is told in Kada Upanishad. And etadeva param, aparancha brahma. Therefore, we have discussed about Om as Apara Brahma up to now. Now we want to take Om as Parabrahma also. For that purpose, how we are going to decide that Om is Param Brahma? Om is the actual symbol of Brahman. How are we going to decide that? For that purpose, the monthly starts. That's why it says, to Yat Sanstha Amritatameti. The Brahma Sanstha Amritatameti. Having established in which one person attains immortality, that to tan nirupanartham, to ascertain that thing. Not directly that thing now, first we'll take the means of that thing, the sadhanam of that thing, Om. For that purpose, the mantra is being stated by the Upanishad. Prajapatir lokan abhyatavat tebhya abhitaptebhya stri vidya samprasravat tam abhyatavat tasya abhitaptaya etanyaksharaani samprasravanda bhurvaswariti tanyabhyatapat tebhyo abhitaptebhya ओंकार संप्रास्रवत् तद्यथा शंकुना सर्वाणि पर्णानि संतन्नानि एवं ओंकारेण सर्वा वाक् संतन्ना ओंकारे वेदगुं सर्वम् ओंकारे वेदगुं सर्वम्. These are the two mantras which are in praise of Om now still. Prajapati Lokanabhyatapat. The Prajapati can take it as a Virat Purusha or the Kashyapa. The macrocosm or the first person who took birth in this world, due to which all the types of species have come into existence. That's Kashyapa. What did he do? He meditated upon Lokana Abhitapat, upon the words. You can't take Abhitapat as a heating up. How are you going to heat up the words? Abhitapat tap kiya. Lokon ko tapaya. Actually, the meaning is Lokon ko tapaya. He heated up the words. But it means here actually, he meditated upon the words. What is the essence of these words? How do these words have come into existence? From where they have come into existence? He wanted to know the essence of these words. By that what happened? From them, Abhitaptebhya, when they were meditated upon, from them, Tri Vidya Samprasavat, the three Vedas came into existence or flowed out from him. That means to say, it flashed in his mind. That the three Vedas are the essence of these three worlds. Because of these Vedas, we, the human being, especially the man, what did he do? He did the different Vedic rites. And because of those rites, these words came to existence. The essence of these three words are the three Vedas. Tam Abhitapat. He again meditated upon those three Vedas. Tasya Abhitaptayaha. When those three Vedas were meditated upon, Etani Aksharani Prasravanta. These letters came into his mind, flashed in his mind. Actually, some prasravanta means what? To flow. The Nadi flows, the Ganga is flowing. Prasravanam. But flowed out means what? Here. In the sense, it came into his mind. He was thinking about the essence and it flashed in his mind. Oh, this is the essence of these three Vedas. What is the essence of three Vedas? Bhur, Bhuva, Swa. These letters. These three letters are the essence of the three Vedas. Tani Abhyatapat. He meditated upon those three letters also. Bhur, Bhuva and Swaha. Tebhyabhitaptebhya. When they were meditated upon, from them flashed in his mind one single letter called Om. Omkaraha Samprasravat. Om, this letter, flashed in his mind. Tadyatha Shankuna Sarvani Pranani Santranani. Now, for instance, it gives to show how this single Om is holding the whole world within it. How the whole world exists in Om. For that he gives an instance. Even though instance is very, very, very gross instance. Very, very gross instance. But all pervasiveness can be understood by it. All pervasiveness can be understood. You might have seen a dry leaf. Very, totally dried leaf. Totally dried. Especially, biologists. And not only biologists, geologists. A student of zoology, what he does? He takes different leaves and all keeps in his books. Different types. Botanist. No, not zoologist, but botanist actually. Botanist. He keeps things. And when you see, he hits it, means what happens? All the powder goes out and you can see only the ribs of it. The mid ribs can be seen. The main spine can be seen, the mid ribs. Those mid ribs are actually holding all that leaf. The whole leaf was held by them. Similar as Om is holding the whole of this world. Shankuna. The mid ribs are called as Shanku. Sarvani Parnani Santranani. The whole, all the leaves. Sarvani means all leaves. Here it is in the whole leaf actually. Is being held, are being held together. Santranani means are held together. Evam eva. Similarly, Omkarena Sarva Vak Santrana. By this Om, all the words that we pronounce, that we just speak, everything is held by Om, are joined to each other by Om. Omkara eva idam sarvam. Therefore, you have to understand actually, this whole world, everything is Om itself. Everything is verily this Om itself. And nothing else other than this can exist in this world. Prajapati Virat Kashyapova. You see, Bhashakara says Prajapati means Virat or Kashyapa. Lokan Uddishya. He's going to heat up the world in man's heart. This is Uddishya Teshu Sara Jigrikshaya. With regard to these words, he wants to meditate. Why? Because he wanted to grasp the essence of them. Teshu, in these words, what is the essence which is making this world exist? To grasp it. Sara Jigrikshaya. Grahanam is to grasp. To realize in the sense here, to realize, to know the essence of the words. Abhyatavat, abhitapam kritavan. He heated them up very well. That means to say, Bhashakara says very clearly, Dhyanatmakam tapak kritavan. Dhyanam tapak kritavan. He did a tapa. What is that tapa? Dhyana means meditation itself, nothing else. He did meditation on them. Tebhya vitaptebhya sarabhuta trividya sampraslavat. When they, due to the meditation on them, that when those words are meditated upon, from those words, the sarabhuta, the essence that he could understand was trividya, something that flew, that started to flow out of them was trividya. How can from these words the three Vedas can flow? Because these Vedas are not a liquid thing. It's like water that can flow from the world. Then he says, Bhashikara, Prajapatir Manasi Pratyabhat Ityartha. In the mind of this Prajapati or the Virat or what you call it, Kashyapa, it flashed. He could realize it. That knowledge flashed in his mind that the essence of these words are these three Vedas. Again, he started to meditate on those Vedas because it's Bahuvachanam still. Three is there. If you want to know further the essence, there's something, there should be one. Non-dual form. Tamapeta, they heated upon them. Again, then he meditated upon them. Purvat, take all the meaning. Tasya vitaptayaha, etani akshana samprasravanta. These letters came into existence. What are those letters that flashed his mind? Bhur, bhuva, swa, iti vyahritaya. These are called as vyahriti. Which are called as vyahriti. These three letters came into his mind. He got the knowledge of these three letters at that moment. Tani aksharani. Abhitaptebhya. Abhitapat. He actually meditated upon those letters also. Tebhya abhitaptebhya. When those letters are meditated upon, from them Omkara samprasavat. The thing that flowed out was Omkara. That means the thing that flashed in his mind as the essence of these three words, Bhur, Bhuva and Swa, was Om. And what is that Om? Tad Brahma. That is Brahman. Kidrisham. How is it so? Ityaha. And Bhashikara says it is being explained by an instance, by an illustration. Tadyata. For instance, you see Shankuna, see a dry leaf, how the mid-ribs are holding the whole leaf itself. Parnanalena. Shankuna means Parnanal, the ribs. Paranani means patra avayvajatani. But the whole leaf in the sense what? Even midribs are also part of the leaf itself. Therefore it's saying the central part which are in between the ribs. That's called as a leaf here. Paranani. Patra avayvajatani. All different parts of the leaf. Santrinani are vidhani, vyaptani are held together. How it is even held? Not by one single midrib. But vyaptani. The midribs pervade in all. By pervading in the whole leaf, the midribs are holding them. Similarly, Om pervades in this whole world. This Brahman is all pervasive. It is pervading in this whole world. Thereby, it is holding this whole world within itself. Padavasya bhutani, tripadasya amratandivi. That's why it has been told in the other text. Evam omkarena brahmana paramatmanaha. Then what is that omkar? Through that omkara, brahmana paramatmana pratika bhutena is a symbol of that supreme self. Sarva vak, the whole, all the words, all that is uttered by speech organ, by the organ of speech. Shabda jatam. Vak means Shabda jatam. All words that we speak of. santrinna are held by this Om itself. How? Is it because another Vedic text telling Akaro Vai Sarvava? You know, in Om there are 3 letters, the minimum, A, U, Ma. In that A itself constitutes all the world itself. Then what to say about U and Ma? There is Akaro Vai Sarvava Kitta Shurta hai. Om constitutes A, U and Ma, and since the vowel A itself pervades all speech, therefore Om also is pervading all speech. When one part of a thing is all pervasive, the whole is all pervasive automatically. Paramat vikarascha namadhe matramita onkara eva idam sarvamiti. Therefore you have to understand and keep in your mind, this is in accordance with the Vedic text. According to this Vedic text especially, Akaro Vai Sarvava, it is more clear and implied that Om is all pervasive. Paramatvikarascha. All these unreal transformations, unreal appearances are of Paramatvikara only. Brahmavikarascha. Namadheya. All words that are uttered, that are pronounced, are nothing but what? Paramatvikaraha. Are all just transformations or unreal appearances of this Brahman itself. Om iti ataha. From this, it follows that Omkar eva idam sarvam. Om is verily, surely this whole world itself. Why it has been told 2 times? Omkara eva idam sarvam. Omkara eva idam sarvam. Because what has been doing, what we are discussing is also not finished, completely concluded. Neither the chapter is concluding, nor the context, the topic is not been not concluded. Why are it 2 times? He says, Dvirabhyasa adarartaha. It is a matter of respect, honor for that Om. Lokadi nishpadana kathanam Omkara stutyartam. So why you could not have taken up directly the Omkara as Brahman? He says, the meditation by Prajapati on this loka, trying to know the essence of these words, etc., that has been told up to now. The origin of words, etc., how it originated, what is the actual essence of this. Essence means what? You are going to the actual cause. The cause of these words are the Vedas. And the cause of the Vedas are Om. And Om is the symbol of Paramatma. So you went to the originating point of the words. Why you have done all these things? This statement given by the Upanishads only meant for the praise of Omkara. Omkara stutyartamiti is meant for praising the Om, which is the actual symbol and also the means of attaining immortality.